outer space has been romanticised in our minds and media for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Exploration and curiosity is built into our genes, from the Spartan warrior to the Inuit fisherman we've looked up and found our answers in that great black expanse. The desire for discovery and exploration has been a key aspect to our development as a species. As a result, science fiction is one of our core storytelling genres. Sci-fi horror is no exception. It also resonates with us, but on a much more primal level. It's the fear of the unknown, the unforeseen consequences of our drive to discover. We're looking for answers, but what happens when we find them? Will it be a Pandora's box we cannot close? The best examples of sci-fi horror feature mankind as either more of a byproduct of the story, or suffering repercussions for their overreach. When our desire to explore or exploit is the cause of our misery. The most interesting examples of the genre don't contain an antagonist exactly, one wrought in our destruction for profit or resources, but rather simple indifference to us. Invasion of the Body Snatchers isn't about aliens taking over out of malice, but because that's what they do, that's how they reproduce. It's a nomadic species, a parasite, and we're just there, we're just hosts. The Thing? The antagonist is an alien being, but it's only unleashed due to the curiosity of the scientists. Alien, one of the most famous movies and movie antagonists of all time, is sparked by prey stumbling into the predator's domain completely unprepared. Event Horizon, man's attempt to break the laws of physics, merges our dimensions with another hellish parallel one, and hijinks ensue. By these qualifiers, we could consider space itself to be an antagonist. It has no ability to feel, it completely surrounds us, and will kill us in seconds without discretion. One mistake in that minus 274°C vacuum would not only mean agonizing death, but your moments would serve as a frozen warning beacon for millennia, a cosmic deterrent warding off those who might suffer the same fate, floating to the deepest reaches of the universe for eons until you're destroyed or worn down to atoms. If this concept piques your interest, check out Bad Space. It's the first chapter. Alright, no more spoilers, let's crack on. Bad Space, created by Scott Bass, is an ongoing anthology webcomic. Starting in October 2021, it's currently at 38 chapters. It features darker messages and themes, and honestly it's a very welcome break from the styles and content we usually associate with webcomics. They're self-described as short, sharp shocks, which is true, but I like to think of them more as dark parables. The settings and themes range from hard sci-fi to dystopian futures, even to Greek mythology on occasion. Chapters tend to leave you with more of a sense of hopelessness, and after decades of those happy Hollywood endings, it's honestly a breath of fresh air. There's always a message there, but it's not one you probably want to hear. Scott has worked on comics here and there for years, but has really found his stride with Bad Space. He's teased the possibility of a physical release as well, which I'm really hoping does come through. As you'll see, it will be completely worth it. Each chapter consists of 9 or 10 fantastically drawn monochrome panels, one panel per page, with an extra page at the end containing the end title card. All drawn in Procreate, the format is definitely more on the minimalist side. With a maximum of 10 panels and limited speech bubbles, Scott goes full out for the artwork. His art style is incredibly detailed, and some panels are just downright beautiful. According to Scott, one panel can take anywhere from 2 to 6 hours, and it shows. My favourite panels are those where space, or voids, are filled in with absolute black, full hex zero, to not only highlight focus points, but also to hammer home the feelings of pure, terrifying isolation we're supposed to feel. They also make great OLED foam wallpapers, just saying. Scott published his first chapter, Ozymandias, on webtoons.com in October 2021, and has been uploading new chapters with steady regularity since. I don't know if Scott had a few chapters ready to go at the time and was uploading them piecemeal, but he had a home run with Ozymandias. It's a great introduction to his style, his unique approach to sci-fi, and the messages he uses to convey. While some chapters tend to cover the standard sci-fi tropes of time travel, parallel universe jumping, and immortality, they all come with their own interpretation or message that really sets them apart from the crowd. Sometimes it's the entire story, sometimes it's one or two lines in a panel, but they all have Scott's spin. The most enticing aspect to his style of storytelling is that pretty much every chapter is a cold open. No time is wasted on preamble or setting a date or even names of characters. We're thrust into a living world at a moment in their lives and we're uncovering the story as we go. It may feel jarring to those who are looking for long, in-depth stories and worlds, but these are more vignettes of futures, pasts, other worlds, things that could have been or could be. We don't need to learn their names, just their stories, and more often than not, the final moments of them too. Bad Space is best described as sci-fi with a brain. No stories simply revolve around a monster or an antagonist wreaking havoc, but rather the threats are more nebulous or, in some cases, cosmic. Some verge on Lovecraftian. One such chapter revolves around an alien entity floating through space, coaxing in unsuspecting explorers using decades-old radio signals. Which isn't scary because it's an evil alien, but because it knows to use the natural curiosity of its prey against it, lure it in, like an anglerfish. Other chapters are more self-reflective. Some are full hard sci-fi, being put into a machine that will push you into a higher dimension, for example. While Bad Space touches on themes of dystopia or nihilism fairly often, while all being wrapped up in the horror sci-fi package, his best chapters deftly combine them with an odd, bittersweet feeling of hope, as contradictory as that sounds. I said no spoilers, but when there are only 10 panels per chapter, it's hard to talk about them without giving some details away. We'll use Scott's favourite chapter, Excision, as an example. In unison, across the world, children awaken at night, slip from their beds, and brutally end the lives of their sleeping parents. As we read it on, we realise it's not out of malice, but a twisted altruism, a sacrifice that means the ending of fossil fuels, of industry, war, and all the evil mankind inflicts upon the world and each other. As Scott admits, it's not one of his most popular chapters, and while the evil children trope is always fun to see, it's the twisted message here that really makes it stand out. This worldwide parricide is performed so clinically, like the removal of a tumour or a parasite. It's an excision to save the host. There's no cosmic evil, no killer alien. It's innocent children wiping our slate clean for the greater good. As you probably realised, I really do like Bad Space, and I hope you will too. It's so unique in the sea of webcomics, it really deserves a spotlight. The commitment to reading Bad Space is so minimal. It has only 10 panels a chapter, it's all easily digestible through a phone screen. If you're not hooked after a few chapters, or it's a bit too bleak for you, then there's tons of other webcomics out there. At least you tried something new, but if it clicks with you, it's really worth it. All chapters have similar theming, but some chapters really do have some more overt political messages. Given global events and some real-life dystopia going on at the moment, I'm not surprised there's some influence there. Admittedly, they're not my favourite chapters, but everyone's different. Maybe you'll love it, I don't know. At worst, the next chapter's only going to be 9 pages away, so it's not that big of a deal, to be honest. If you're interested in reading Bad Space, please do check it out. I do obviously highly recommend it. I've left some links down in the description. I recommend starting at the start, giving it 3 or 4 chapters, seeing how you feel. If you love it, you can even drop him an email through his website or on his Patreon if you like his work enough. He's actually quite a nice guy. I don't know if he replies to everything, but he really seems to try to. He's even replied to a few of my questions that I asked to flesh out the spotlight and get his recommendations and other things I should follow, since I love his work so much, and that was greatly appreciated, Scott, thank you. And there's also a shameful Ko-fi link for me if you want to up my caffeine intake. Thanks for watching, and we all love a summary, so we'll end on a few. What you may like about Bad Space: great art, very short but very effective chapters, diverse stories and messages do keep it fresh, and if you don't like a chapter, the next is at maximum 10 panels away. What you may dislike about Bad Space: it's not for those who want longer, more encompassing stories to be engrossed in. Some chapters are quite political, which regardless of affiliation may not be your thing. And the darker, sometimes bleak themes and narratives just may not be your cup of tea, to be honest. Scott's quite open about his inspirations and recommendations for Bad Space and all the things he likes, really. So check out his Patreon if you want to know a bit more. But here's a few highlights: 2001: A Space Odyssey, Deadwood, Chernobyl, The Expanse, Black Mirror, and various books and graphic novels you'll see listed over to the right. If you want some of my recommendations for content similar to Bad Space, I highly recommend Harlan Ellison's work. You may know him from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, specifically the Dream Corridor graphic novel series. Very good. Various episodes of The Twilight Zone, some are certainly a lot more darker than others, Ex Machina, and 12 Monkeys. Well, I guess all that leaves time for is for me to say a big heartfelt thank you to Scott, author of Bad Space, runner of the Patreon, worker of jobs, and the man who found enough time in his schedule in his morning commute to reply to my emails that I sent very late at night in my time zone. Thank you, Scott. Much appreciated. A big thank you to you for watching. Oh my god, if this gets any views, I'll be ecstatic. And of course, a big thank you to Tim Berners-Lee, who invented the World Wide Web. Thank you all very much, and good night.